Welcome and thank you for attending this session of Lexby's eDiscovery webinar series. Are you paying too much for eDiscovery processing? How new technologies can accelerate eDiscovery and lower your costs? Presented by Lexby Product Manager Guy McNeil. Our eDiscovery webinar series takes place once a month. We cover a wide variety of relevant issues related to litigation technology and legal data management. Today's webinar should last about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll have a URL to access a recorded version of the presentation available to anyone who registered later this week, as well as a copy of the slide deck. Just to give you a brief overview of our focus here at Lexby, we develop and implement technology that helps legal professionals cost-effectively meet their discovery deadlines. We offer high-speed ESI processing and conversion services in addition to Lexby eDiscovery platform, our full-featured case management application that includes self-serve processing functionality with the ability to upload and process up to 10 gigabytes of your own case data per day from any location. If during our webinar there are any questions that you have or any technical issues being experienced, please don't hesitate to email me at webinars@lexby.com. We'll answer all the questions we can at the end, but if we run out of time, we'll be sure to follow up with you via email. With that, here's Guy to tell you how you can leverage the cloud to eliminate eDiscovery processing costs.
Thanks, Stu, and thanks for everybody for joining us today. I'm going to get started by just giving you a quick look at our agenda. I'm going to go over eDiscovery processing, a background, history, why we see it as still so expensive, and how we believe the cloud is starting to change that and change some of the economics around it, and specifically give you an example of how Lexby is starting to do this with some of our new technologies. And then finally walk through a little bit about our product at the very end. So let me get started by setting the stage here and talk about eDiscovery process and give us some context here and what we're talking about. The eDiscovery process starts from setup and planning to collection of data, cutting that down using culling technologies and processes, and then the processing of the data for review and production. And that's really what I'm focusing on today. So not the first three here in our diagram, but the last two is specifically about the processing of the data and using that for review and production. So what are we talking about when we say eDiscovery processing? I get asked this question: is what does that really mean? What is all that's going on when you're doing that process? And really, how I define it is taking a series of operations on electronically stored information in connection with litigation to ready that data for document review and production. So what does that mean specifically? It can mean things like file decompression. So think about you collect all this information, so you get a disk drive with a variety of information on it. Some of that needs to be decompressed. Some of that data needs to be identified. What kind of files are these? Might need to be repaired. Might need to deduplicate. There might be multiple files that the same thing. Obviously, we don't want to process those. We need to understand what those are and then only process it once. There are just system files, and I use the technical term denisting, which is really just identifying standard files that are on every drive that we don't need to process because we know those don't have anything in them. There's OCR, there's indexing, and converting of files to different formats. All of this is part of the process of just taking raw information and putting it into a form where it can be reviewed by attorneys and understanding the actual information in it. So what's the problem that we're talking about today, and the cost of processing and why it's high? And some of the issues that we see about eDiscovery processing are, one, that it just takes too long. Typically it takes weeks of time, and some of that's just due to the capacity of vendor or a consultant to do this work. A lot of this work is being done by various consultants, and they only have so much ability to process information. So they may have a server or a few servers to do this work. And so when your attorneys are running up against deadlines, they're scrambling, they need to do this quickly. And of course, that means more costs, because typically it's going to take more effort and time to do that. The second thing we see is, and we heard a lot of horror stories around this, the unpredictable cost for their clients is that they'll go out and say, okay, I need this data processed. They'll get a quote. think they understand what that quote really means, but in a lot of cases, they don't understand all the details and what can happen during the eDiscovery processing. And as a result, comes back, they get in a bill that's much higher than they expect. Of course, they then have to have that uncomfortable conversation with their clients who budgeted so much for this eDiscovery process. And so we hear a lot of that as well. Is it just that attorneys struggle with this, that they don't really have a good sense up front of what the actual cost is going to be. They end up being surprised, and they have a difficult situation with their client. And then finally, we hear, of course, it's too high. It's just, why is this information still so costly to process, given that technology has changed? And let me walk you through a little bit about why that's the case. One of the biggest things we see is that, of course, you've heard about this a lot. It's just there's so much information that's being stored on the web today, and so this chart actually has what it was termed a zettabyte, which I had never actually even heard of until I did a little bit of research on this. And you can see here from 2005, 2015, it's just grown incredibly. And it's just because there's so much different types of information. And this has every kind of information that's being put out there on the web. But I mean, to give you an example, just every day, I saw some numbers today, it's like 500 million photographs are being put up on the web every day and being shared. So it's just a huge amount of data that's going up. And that's also the same amount of increase in data is happening when you look at eDiscovery. The data volume is rising. So in this case, this graph shows Enron, which was kind of a case everybody's aware of. But in 2005, there were 100 million pages, 4 terabytes, and that was thought to be a huge amount. Well, today, and this is actually this data is fairly old, 2011. It's just we're talking about terabytes per matter. So the number of the volume of data that's being processed has just gone through the roof. Just because if you think about it, how much email is being used, how much documents are being attached within email. It's a huge amount of information that's being stored out there. So the volume is rising. The processing costs are falling, and you can see here, back in 2005, you're looking at about $1,800 per gigabyte to process data. Now it's down to, below 500. We're seeing on average about $300 per gigabyte in the industry. So it's fallen, but it's still fairly high. So what we're doing is really investing quite a bit in technology to address this problem. And we've developed an automated processing system that really leverages the cloud, to scale rapidly for specifically for eDiscovery processing. So what we're able to do, we've just designed an extremely efficient parallel processing. And really what that means is that we're able to take eDiscovery problem of having all this data and able to take files and spread them among multiple processors. So what that means, instead of in an office and say you're giving an eDiscovery job to a particular consultant that may have 1 or 2 servers in their office, we can leverage hundreds of servers. And we do that using Amazon, AWS system, and they support some of the biggest enterprise software companies in the US, as well as Netflix, which everybody's familiar with, and they use a tremendous amount of capacity. So what that does is now give us the ability to have the most processing power in the industry and the fastest processing in the industry to scale up and deliver processing capacity when customers want it and as fast as they need it. So we're able to take things which would take days or weeks and do things in hours. And so we are also able to deliver this on a much cheaper cost than if we were to have to support that with a lot of servers ourselves and have all the people to support that. So you can almost look at, computing capacity has become almost like electricity, where we can buy it on demand and as much as we need. And so we're able to bring the cost down significantly. So what it means for our customers is that we can now offer free eDiscovery processing. We've taken it actually all the way to the extreme. We want to offer customers now free eDiscovery processing when they use the LexB Discovery platform for 6 months. And I'll go into what our platform is and all of its capabilities. But we can support easily up to 10 gigabytes of processing per day, and in fact, we can support even more if your demands are for more and need things faster. And we're offering, of course, because we're offering that free, we can have very predictable cost, because now what we're really saying is that the pricing model has changed. You don't have to go spend that money up front. You're doing that for free, and then you're just hosting with us, and that's a very easy calculation to determine up front, and also make it easier to communicate that to your clients. And it's a very easy to use, comprehensive review system, which I'll get into. So before I do that, let me just show you what I'm talking about as far as dollars with a specific example. So in this case, this is a 10 gigabyte case with 5 users that are using the system, and we're going to assume 6 months of hosting. In the typical industry, the processing fee on that would be per gigabyte about $300, and like I said, LexB is now offering that for free. The loading fee, typically companies will require you to spend $90 per gigabyte that you put into the system. We don't have any of those fees. Hosting per gigabyte typically is around the $35 range, and we're going to actually offer that at $22, despite the fact that we're offering the free processing. And then we also have, in our case, we have unlimited number of users, which is a nice feature, especially if you have co-counsel you want to share documents with. We offer that for free, and typically the vendors will charge $50 per user for that. So when you look at this from a processing standpoint, it comes out to $3,000 a month in this example. Loading is $900, $4,200. User licenses another $1,500. There's a lot of extra fees that get put on a particular job. We really want to avoid all that. We want to make it very simple for customers to use the system. So in this case, you see a savings of $6,900 or 73%. So it's fundamentally changing the way we can do processing. And again, it all goes back to the fact that we can offer this because we've substantially lowered the cost of doing this processing, because we can leverage this whole cloud-based system with multiple servers and scale it as fast and add as many servers as we need in just a matter of minutes, and buy all that in a way that's much cheaper for everyone. So everybody wins. So what I do next is just talk a little bit about our platform that you also get as part of this offering, which is our eDiscovery platform, which is a cloud document review and production system. It's all web-based, so you have the advantage of being able to use it anytime, anywhere, 24 hours a day. As I said, you can share this with other people very easily. It's highly secure, and you're able to upload and manage all of your own documents without using the firm and other consultants to do all this. You can manage it all yourself, which is, we make it very easy with a really simple user interface. Some of the features are listed here on the side. I'll go into these in a little bit of depth. First of all, I just want to address security. A big part of the concern in this area with legal documents, of course, is security. We support encryption. Anytime anything's being transferred, it's all encrypted. We use the best data centers. We have all the necessary backups and recovery to make sure that the system is available all the times. And we've always been able to do this. LexB's been in business for over 5 years, and we were one of the first to develop a system that's actually in the cloud as a software, as a service model. And so you can be assured that security is number one in our mind. A little bit about the platform itself. We have document viewing, so you can, in one simple interface, see, easily search documents. You can see the original version of the actual document, HTML, PDF, text, all in one interface. So you can view documents right within the application very simply, and get everything you need across multiple formats. We have credible search capability. We call it basics, better, and best, and so including dual indexing, where we're able to actually pull information out of document attachments that might be in an email, that might be buried in a PowerPoint or a Word document, for example. We pull all that information out and make it available to you to search on. We also have great document review workflows where you can go through and establish whether it's a linear or keyword-based workflow. You can go through all the documents in the system and systematically work through them. So we support all that. We also have comprehensive document issue coding, which allows you to code all your documents and annotate, highlight, as well as use redaction to create new versions of the files for production purposes. And so again, it's a very comprehensive system, and we have timelines for depot prep where you can pull key dates out of the system and show timeline. And this allows you to see all your information and prepare for depositions, which we find pretty popular with our customers as well. As well as the ability to extract information from the actual files, prepare for depositions, or actually pull deposition information out from the data itself and see these in particular order. So a lot of key features to help you through the process, search on the information, and then organize it in the right way to present that information at trial. And then finally, the key things that we offer is the ability to get documents out in a variety of different formats. So whether you need PDFs or TIFF documents, depending on the production needs, the actual native files themselves, or even HTML, the LXP system will provide all that capability. So it's very comprehensive again. So I want to finish up here by saying if you have any questions regarding this. I know I didn't have a whole lot of time to present all this information. I presented quite a bit of it. Feel free to offer any questions. But again, I think to summarize, the thing that we are trying to do here is really fundamentally change the economics of eDiscovery processing. And again, we've developed incredible technology in the cloud to process this information much faster and make it affordable for everyone. And make it possible now to do things in what used to take days and weeks and do it in a matter of hours and days, and really fundamentally change the way people look at it. And I think we're the first to offer this service as free, and which also then gives you, of course, the ability to project your costs more accurately as you go forward. So with that, I will also say there's multiple resources on the LXP website. We have eDiscovery, what we call 101 kind of resources where you can learn more about different terms and understand the whole process better. Please follow our blog. We also have continue to have webinars, and we have recorded webinars on different topics on the site as well. And feel free to come to the site, sign up for a demo, check it out for yourself. We also offer a 15-day trial as well.
Thanks a lot, Guy. Just to follow up on some contact information, if any more questions do come up about this webinar or anything to do with LXP in general, go ahead and contact us at the information that you see on your screen. If we do get any questions, we will follow up with those via email. And thank you all very much for attending today's webinar. Keep an eye out for next month's episode, where we will be talking about how we have developed near duplicate technology to identify privileged documents that will, upon production, be inadvertently produced. So ultimately for a faster, more accurate review. So thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.